Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. It is the Geelong Region Soccer Show and it is episode 80. And boy, are we getting closer and closer to episode 100. Steve Curtin, good evening to you. How are you? And hope things are well with you.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Tonci. It's just been a nice, quiet weekend for us both, hasn't it? As we were saying off air, we haven't had much on at all, so it's been just very quiet. And looking forward to waving to our friends down at Ocean Grove tonight, so to speak, with the SURFSIDE Waves. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, and reviewing all of the weekend's action as well. And we had a bit of everything. We had sunshine. We had torrential rain on Friday night that affected a few matches. So we've had a lot of excitement over the weekend. And it's going to continue tonight. I can see you're smiling, so that's a good sign. How are you, mate?
Yeah. Oh, mate, we're talking about the washouts, talking about the Friday weather. I got a big shout out to, I think it's the Breakwater Eagles and the Lara. Was it the Lara United? Was it Lara United? I think it was. Might have been in Division 3 of the local competition.
Yep.
The game was called off. A referee deemed it was. I just saw this somewhere on social media. So if someone in the chat knows anything about this game, do mention it as well, because I do think it was Lara and Breakwater Eagles, the men's Division 3 competition. The game was called off, absolute washout. Referee was deemed the game unplayable. So the boys all hung around together and decided, what are they going to do? Have a practice match in the sliding around in the mud, in the rain, in the puddles. Mate, I would have done it too if I was playing in men's Division 3 local competition. Good old days of the quagmire football.
I remember a state league resis game once, and I think it got called off due to rain, and we had something else on later that day. And my brother and I got in the car and took off, and then we saw some others were having a training session on the sidelines. Once you've taken your boots off, that's it.
Oh, the good old... I tell you what, mate. Remember the old Geelong Region or the GRFA, the WVSA back in the day? Look, grounds today are just so much better condition, but I'll never forget Jarvis Oval, home of the Deakin Ducks, and these. Talk about a duck pond. That was the duck pond, and when it used to rain,
wasn't it? Yeah,
it was swamp-like. It was quagmire, absolute quagmire. But mate, I loved playing there because I'd never score goals. But every time we played there at Jarvis Oval in the valley down there, always score a goal. So absolutely fantastic. But it's 2022. The pitches these days are absolutely fantastic. They're first class. Even the kids these days get to play on unbelievable
synthetic
surfaces.
pitches and stuff. If you would go out to Deakin these days, no more of those Jarvis Oval rabbit holes and stuff to worry about.
Oh, it's incredible. It is absolutely insane, the quality of pitches that they play these days. But we'll be looking at all the action and all the inaction, if you like, that happened over the weekend, just gone by. A lot happened. There's no doubt about that. We will also be looking at the week ahead coming up. But as you mentioned, Steve, tonight, courtesy of the SURFSIDE Waves Soccer Club and Green Rooms Futures, which is our episode sponsor for tonight, we will be profiling the SURFSIDE Waves Soccer Club, the Ocean Grove-based club, and it's always an absolute delight profiling the boys and girls from the Shell Road Reserve. And tonight we will have Steve, who will be representing the SURFSIDE Waves.
Yeah, it's an all-star trio from the SURFSIDE Waves, and we wouldn't expect anything less as well from a club such as them, with the great program they have from their seniors, men's, women's, right down to a really good junior program. So we're going to speak to their president, Mr. Michael Sutton, also the senior men's coach, PABLO MUJICA, and the TD, the technical director, Craig Wright. So, yep, three lovely gentlemen. Looking forward to seeing what they've got to say and catching up with what news has taken place since we caught up last. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has been. Pablo will be talking about the seniors. They're having a tough time, but there is a silver lining at the end of the cloud, I guess, if you like. And he will be talking to us about that. Craig will be talking predominantly about the rest of what is going on at the club. Heaps happening. So if you are a SURFSIDE Waves fan, or indeed if you're just a local football fan wanting to know more about how some of our clubs are going on, and indeed how the local football scene is progressing at the moment. Do hang around. We're going to have a little bit of a break. After the break, we are going to go straight into the weekend review. There is so much going on. It's the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Folks, don't go away.
Hey guys, Matt Wade from Green Room Futures here. Firstly, big shout out to Tonci. Love what you do, big fella, so keep up the great work. Also, Mike and Craig and SURFSIDE Waves, thank you guys so much for allowing me to say a few quick words. But I would love to bring some awareness to an opportunity that could change the lives of a lot of aspiring footballers, especially those of you out there who've always dreamed about taking your talents overseas to play, right? At Green Room Futures, we specialize in pairing student athletes with colleges and athletic programs all across the United States, right? I can guarantee you that there's not a better program anywhere in the world at finding affordable, personalized opportunities for every kind of footballer out there. You can be elite, or you can be average, or you can be anywhere in between. Your skill level or your academic achievement does not matter, because there are opportunities over there for everyone, and we find them, right? As long as you've got the desire to do something like this, we already know that we can help you, right? We don't just specialize in soccer alone. We assist student athletes in every sport, as well as general students and students interested in pursuing something in the arts. But my personal background is in soccer. I grew up in Texas, played collegiately, professionally, as well as coached collegiately in the US before moving here to Australia in 2011. But the best part about the US college system is that it allows all students the chance to study exactly what you want to study, irrespective of your high school grades or even having an ATAR score, right? That's right. You do not have to have an ATAR score to pursue this opportunity. You get free choice academics while also combining full-time high-level training and competition in your chosen sport, right? You have unbelievable facilities. You've got great coaching accessible 24/7, right? To push yourself as far as possible athletically, while simultaneously knocking out the university qualification of your choice, right? Not to mention just the experience of living abroad and experiencing everything that US college has to offer, right? So I encourage anyone out there, right, that's listening to this plug who's thinking, huh, that sounds pretty good, right? Get in touch, right? Check out our website, as well as catch us on Facebook and Insta to learn more about us and the opportunities that we can provide. But we run live online discussions every second Wednesday through Zoom, right? That anyone can join, where I speak about exactly what goes into the US college recruitment process. Or you can skip those and you can book a personal Zoom call with me straight away, where all the information that you get is tailored specifically to you and your family, right? No matter which way you choose to do it, right? Because it could be the single biggest step that you've taken to date, and something that will genuinely change your life. So hope to hear from you guys. Keep balling. We'll talk to you soon. Catch you out there.
Well, mate,
All
now
right.
I know what how a Texan is going to call my name, Tonci. Oh my God, don't call me that, please. That's an interesting program. I think we're going to have to ask SURFSIDE Waves President Michael Sutton a little bit more. Obviously, that organisation is somehow aligned with the SURFSIDE Waves, but gosh, we talk about the opportunities for young players these days playing on good quality surfaces, but that's an interesting one. The opportunities to be able to study, travel abroad, and play the sport that you love. So,
Yep. Good life experience there to be had.
When we were
Definitely.
younger, huh?
Yep.
We probably would have been different people, Steve.
Oh, totally.
Anyway, what's happening with what happened on the weekend?
All right, let's fire up the news desk for Monday, the 2nd of May, 2022. Let's go through some results and some news that's occurred over the weekend. Let's look at NPL 2 to kick off with. One match took place involving a club from our region in that division on Saturday, and it was a good result too, because North Geelong were 3-1 winners away at Werribee City. There was 3 goals. They scored the first 3 goals of the game as well in that 3-1 win. Abdi Ghaffar Oman, Lockie McGrath, and George Ellis all hitting the back of the net. They did have Nick Cosdra sent off in that one as well, but it's a really good result. And you can see, if you're looking at the screen there, we've got the North boys up in second place on the table. So they're going along very nicely. They're having a good run of results, and they've got a big game coming up this weekend as well, haven't they?
Yeah, Steve, that result was achieved without Caleb Mikulich, the leading goal scorer, the league's leading goal scorer. And I believe Ryan Opperman, there may have been some sort of, an event or function or something like that. But this weekend, they, and Pascoe Vale, who were the previous league leaders, their game was actually washed out on the Friday night. They came up against.
So they've got that game in hand now, so they could jump back up if they were to replay that one and get the points in that one. But for the moment,
the good
they're
thing
they're as good as first place. We'll say Pascoe Vale.
Yeah. But the good thing is, Steve, on Saturday, North Geelong are at home to guess who? Pascoe Vale. So if they can defeat Pascoe Vale, well, they'll certainly move up. Depending on how Moreland City go, and they've been in absolute brilliant form, still undefeated, as is Pascoe Vale. But they'd certainly distance themselves a little bit from Pascoe Vale, the Warriors. And that game kicks off at 3 p.m. at Alco Park. So a big, important game for the Warriors. 4 wins on the trot, I believe, for North Geelong. So they're in very, very good form ahead of that big one against Pascoe Vale.
Yeah, they're in excellent form, and with the home ground advantage against Pascoe Vale, we'll tip them to get the win in that one as well.
Yeah. Speaking of winners, NPL 3.
Let's move on to NPL 3, and then we've got a picture of some wild celebrations there because the boys from Stead Park got a win 2-1. Mitch Johns finding the back of the net, as well as Kaman Mayum. So they were in celebration mode at Stead Park after getting over the line against Box Hill on Saturday night in the evening kickoff game there. Good result. It pushes them up the table a few positions as well, which is much needed at the moment because they've been having an inconsistent season so far. So they're moving up the table, and then they're on the road this weekend, Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. They will go to the Serbian Sports Centre and play the Springvale White Eagles. And Springvale finds themselves down the wrong end of the table as well. They're in second last place. So perhaps they can make it 2 wins in a row, Tonci.
Yeah, so, they haven't had a very good start. They did score a win in that's Springvale White Eagles. A win and a draw, but I think on the weekend also they lost as well, so another loss. So look, that's how important that win against Box Hill United was, Steve. They really, really needed to do well. They it was in effect, well, where they say a 6-pointer. I love that term.
It was a 6-pointer. Let's call it a 6-pointer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Officially, we've deemed it a 6-pointer.
They leapfrogged Box Hill in the process.
Yeah, Doveton, Ballarat City as well. So this is a really important game. By the way, that young fella that scored that second goal for Geelong, Kaman Mayum, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, elevated from the club's under 21s and was making his senior debut. So came on and effectively, he scored the winner. So some good young promising talent there at Stead Park. But there's that photo of them. Very, very jubilant afterwards. Go to the Facebook page, Geelong Soccer Club's Facebook page, and you'll actually see the rendition there. Romeo Puglia, he's the fella there in the vest, the high vis vest. He's the what is he? The conductor, the lead singer, whatever you want to call him. He's got a booming voice, Romeo, and he's the one leading the charge there, and as he does at all home games when they do win. And dare I say, away games as well. So well done to the Red and Blacks out at Stead Park, and good luck on the weekend. But I guess it was a big occasion in State 1 for Corio. Unfortunately, the result just didn't go to hand, but the new club rooms were basically unveiled on Saturday night, Steve.
Yeah, well, I guess this is the high point that we can focus on, that these new facilities are now up and running. And you can see in the pictures there, I haven't been there myself, unfortunately, but those images look fantastic. And I've heard from our number one fan, Santino, that he got down there after work to check out proceedings. On the field, things didn't go so well, but it was against a difficult opponent, the league leaders, Caroline Springs, George Cross, who defeated Cryer 5-1, the only goal by Joe Masudi Alonga. But yeah, certainly the new rooms, lots to enjoy, and looks like there was a healthy crowd in attendance there. But that result does leave Cryo in second last place on just the only the 2 points so far this season, which they picked up in the first 2 rounds as well. So
Yeah.
they're not in the form they hoped to be in after they had their recent coach change as well. So they'll be looking to build over the coming weeks, I suppose, now that they've made that change.
Bobby Stojcevski, former Green Gully coach and also Williamstown coach. Baptism of fire, Steve. A real baptism of fire for Bobby. Yeah, it's not the kind of welcome you want, but obviously it's evident that just the caliber of players at the moment there are just not good enough. Mario Gregorio, the Corio president, has come out in the press, in the local press, and he said, "Look, if we need players, we're going to get them." At the moment, it's basically it's just not good enough. And look, when they are in the relegation zone. They're second last, yet to chalk up a win. 3 points behind Clifton Hill, and things are not looking good for them. Yes, Caroline Springs are the ladder leaders, and they're doing very well. They've skipped, almost 4 points. Well, they have skipped 4 points clear. Brimbank Staines have got a game in hand, and they are the heavyweights of the competition. But look, end of the day, a 5-1 defeat at home in front of a big crowd, and they are magnificent facilities. I've had the pleasure of very, very quickly just popping through and having a very quick look last Thursday. Absolutely magnificent facilities compared to
great.
what they did have before. So, look, it will be a big boost for the club. I'm hearing that when Galaxy played later on, there was a very, very good crowd of maybe possibly a couple hundred that stayed back to watch that game as well. So a win-win for everyone off the field. Just on the field, things aren't looking too good.
And they've got they got a tough one this weekend as well. They're at home again. They got another 5:30 kickoff against the Essendon Royals. So Essendon Royals were due to play on Friday night. They had their match washed out. But even with that game in hand, Essendon Royals still sit in fifth place. But we should, as that graphic moved along, move along to State League 2 Northwest, where Geelong Rangers were defeated 4-1 by their friendly rivals, I suppose. Hoppers Crossing, Rene Colazos.
Big British derby, hey?
With the goal. Yeah, it's always a big one, this one. Always a big crowd there. And, Rangers unable to get the job done at the Grange Reserve. So they went down 4-1. So another side from our region that's hoping to hoping to hit their straps at some point, but it hasn't happened for them just yet. So they find themselves at the wrong end of the table. They are in last on only 1 point. So not doing too well. They have Laylaw United this weekend. That's at Myers Reserve at 3:00. They might be a chance to do some business on their home turf, perhaps there at Myers Reserve.
Yeah, Rene Colazos was the lone goal scorer for Geelong Rangers. On to State League 4. The West Side Strikers Surf Coast game that was washed out. Unfortunately, Surf Coast it was a gilt-edged opportunity for Surf Coast now to on the back of a good result last week, I think it was. It was a really good opportunity to now start to get even closer to the top 4. Keilor Wolves, the top side, lost on the weekend.
Yeah, big surprise.
Yeah, it was a big surprise.
Good result for Gisborne.
Oh, mate, they are in fine form at the moment, Gisborne. They really are in good form. Bell Park drew with Laverton, so Laverton also, that very, very difficult side. Good old Bell Park did very well, and let me tell you this, Anthony Piratina, the prodigal son who's just
he's
returned,
back in town.
He's scored 3 goals now in three goals in 3 games or something like that. Scored a brace on the weekend. He scored both of Bell Park's goals. Good result. You go to Laverton Park Reserve. It's always a tough one. That
you take a point there anytime.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other team, the other Geelong team in that division, Golden Plains. They're struggling. 5 games, 5 losses. I think that last game hasn't been taken into account. No, it hasn't. They had an 8-0 thrashing at the hands of Greenvale United, so it has been even more of a loss there as well. So unfortunately, that's not exactly what you want. But
No.
yeah, look, what do you do? Division. What are the games
I'll
coming up
just
this
look
week?
ahead quickly to those games for the State 4 in the guys coming up this week. Golden Plains will host Laverton, Bell Park will host Spring Hills, and Surf Coast will be on the road to Barnstoneworth United at JT Grey Reserve. So good luck to our State 4 clubs this weekend. Let's move on to State 5, and a good result for the Deakin Ducks against a high-flying Bendigo City there as well, with Mark Lindeberg and an own goal getting them over the line.
Yeah, fantastic. The Ducks, they've had a really inconsistent season this year. Sometimes they win, sometimes they draw. 4 wins and 3 losses. That's the equation at the moment after round 7. So they're one of those teams, very much like the Melbourne Knights in NPL. They haven't drawn any games after 10 games, and it's you're always going to get a result with Deakin University. On this occasion, good. Look, it was a good result. Bendigo City, they're one of the front runners. They are definitely one of the front runners. But because of that result, I guess, it allowed Barwon, who came back with a vengeance, a 12-goal turnaround from, if you want to look at the previous week's performance, where they lost to Bendigo City 7-0. And then this week, 5-0 drubbing of crosstown rivals Lara United. That has well and truly thrust them back into the top position. And 18 points. They're 2 points clear of Melton Phoenix after the weekend. Great result for Barwon, wasn't it?
It was, and hat trick for Christian Martin and a brace for Milton Bailey. And I think Barwon, there'll be a bit of a friendly rivalry with their neighbours, Deakin University. I'll say thank you very much, Deakin, for allowing us to get back on top.
Yeah.
The results, the fixtures coming up this weekend. Barwon is hosting Maribyrnong Greens, and we've also got Surfside. They're on the road to Ballarat, and it's got a derby as well, 6 o'clock at Lara Rec Reserve. Lara United and Deakin University. That should be a beauty on Saturday evening. Get along to that one if you're in the Lara area.
Is that at 6 p.m., is it? Oh, that's good. That means that most of the local games will have finished by that stage, and you can get down to Lara Recreation Reserve.
Smart
under lights. There's shelter as well. I don't know if it's going to rain or not going to rain, but it's great to see a lot of the newer facilities or the renovated facilities around town do now have shelter. Like we mentioned, Hume Reserve. That was one of the worst things before. You could not get any shelter. If it rained, you could hide under one of the trees there, and that was about it. But now you've actually got proper shelter, and it's just absolutely delightful compared to what it was once upon a time. So a big game there. Lara United taking on Deakin University. Which Deakin will turn up on Saturday night, Steve? That is the question.
I don't know. Should be a good match though. I think that one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
We're going to take a little bit of a break, mate. When we do return, we're going to then look at the women's side of things as well as the local leagues. Folks, don't go away. It's the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We're back with the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and there's the State League 5 ladder. But let's now move along to the. We're going to look at the women's scene now, Steve. So let's turn our attention first of all to the VPLW, Victorian Premier League Women's, and Galaxy on Saturday night. Yep, playing before their new club rooms, that their co-tenants at Hume Reserve. Not the result that they wanted, dropping points for the first time this season.
Yeah, a bit of a shock here. They've been scoring a lot of goals. They have conceded a few goals, but they've been scoring goals, winning every game so far until tonight, and then until the weekend. Then they had the big double header playing after Corio, and it was the exact same scoreline that Corio suffered as well, 5-1 in favour of the visitors. Eri Yamashita was the only goal scorer, so not the result that the Galaxy were looking for at all there, and I'm sure they'll be seething about that one, and they'll be looking to bounce back this coming weekend in round 5 when they come up against South Yarra.
South Yarra, yes,
that's at 4 o'clock. That's at 4 o'clock this Sunday at Hume Reserve. That one. So South Yarra, they're going along very nicely at the moment as well, with 3 wins from 4. And they're undefeated as well. Their only other result was a draw. So yeah, they're going along very well, South Yarra. So this should be a really strong test of Geelong Galaxy, and if they can get over the line here, it would be a really good result.
Yeah, absolute tough one that. On Sunday, the following day, we had 2 games in the women's, and but before we go any further, I suppose in VPL, in Women's State League 3 Friday night, there was meant to be a game, Geelong Rangers and Point Cook, but that was washed out. But we will have a look at the ladder a little bit later. But moving along to State 1, Steve.
Yeah, State 1. So yesterday, North Geelong went to Aston Fields to take on Craigieburn City, and it was a 4-0 win. So good result there. They've pulled out all stops there. Olivia Ortiz and Louisa Kump, a double each for them. And what a great result. 4-0 on the road. You can't complain about that at all. So very good start for North, and they're going to play Keilor Park next weekend at Alco Park on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, history in the making. That was their first win at State League 1 level. The week prior to that, I think it was from memory, I think it was a 3-2 loss at the hands of La Trobe University, who, there you go, have won 2 games from their first 2 matches. So it's well done to the North Geelong Warriors women. Their first points in State League 1 season, and they come up against bottom side Keilor Park, who have lost their first 2 games. But look at that goal difference. Goals scored 1, goals conceded 18. So on paper, you'd think it would be a pretty good or pretty easy game for North Geelong Warriors. But in reality, it's still early stages of the season.
We're taking it seriously. I'm sure the girls will be no complacency there.
No doubt.
Very seriously. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of teams that are doing really, really well and they've got a great goal difference, have a look at that in State 2 at the top of the competition standings.
Yeah, Lara United, 2 games, 2 wins, plus 14. Scored 14, conceded none. And they were 7-0 winners against local rivals Hoppers Crossing. Hat-trick for Erin Eastway, singles for Taylor Eastway, Izzy Wilkinson, Jess Kenyon, and Lily Visa. So, really good result there. So looking good at the moment, the girls in State League 2 Northwest, and they're going to play Brunswick City this Sunday at 3 o'clock at Dunstan Reserve there it's in West Brunswick. So should be a good match there. Brunswick City, they're sitting in 6th at the moment. So I think Lara will fancy themselves to make it 3 from 3.
Now, I did get a message from our resident guru, the news guru, Brenton Ray, who did say that Hoppers Crossing, here we go. And he actually says, he's written it in the comments section, and he actually says, and there we go, Brenton. Good on you, Brenton. Thank you for your contribution. Lara United were quite really impressive, took their chances. It's a case, good luck, opposition teams playing against them anytime soon. I think they're team to beat in State League 2 Northwest competition this season. Thank you, Brenton. Absolutely, they have looked really impressive. If you want to see a little bit of footage of that game, go to the Lara United Facebook page. You actually can see, I think, some of the footage, some of the games there as well. They do look very sharp. They put the other teams under pressure, under a great deal of pressure, and they're just relentless. And they picked up a few good players, a few returning players as well. They've got a good squad, and they are looking really, really good. They've got a team in the local community competition happening as well in Division 2. So all in all, things are looking really good for Lara United. And if they do get promoted, they will be able to field 2 teams next year in State 1. And so far, so good. So keep it up, Lara United. Big game against Brunswick City, who have managed to just draw one from one. So they've drawn one game from their one game that they have played. So hopefully the Lara girls will come back with all 3 points in tow on Sunday. Geelong Rangers, the women in State 3, how did they go? We mentioned the washout.
Yeah, the washout there. So that's the table there. They just had the one game with 1 point so far. So what do we look ahead to their match next weekend? And we've got the Geelong Rangers girls. They're playing against, we'll have to just find that one. Have you got it there?
Kensington City, is that right? Kensington City, who have lost their only game so far. They lost their first game 3-0. So they will be taking, Rangers will be hosting Kensington City this Sunday at Myers Reserve. I believe kickoff is at 1 p.m. So home ground advantage. It's their second game of the season. They will be looking for their maiden victory in the State League Division 3. Good luck to the Rangers women this coming weekend. Let's turn our attention now to the local competition. First of all, to the Geelong Men's Division 1 competition. Couple of washouts, or we had a washout on the Friday night. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Friday night, Elko Park wasn't too friendly to play on that match. Elko Park Cardinals and FC Leopold not able to go ahead. Also on Friday night, though, the Leisure Time Centre with its synthetic pitch was a little bit more friendly, a bit more user-friendly, I suppose, as it is, and it was a 2-0 win for Barwon over Bell Park, who were fancying themselves to get a win in this one, but they weren't able to do it. So a good result there. That was the 7 o'clock game at Leisure Time Centre. And then we had a win for Surf Coast 2-1 over the Breakwater Eagles at White Eagle House on Sunday. And it was a 300 game celebration for one of the friends of the show, shall we say.
Yeah, Michael Pocklington. He chalked up 300 games now. I think he might be playing in the Division 3 comp. I think I'm not too certain. He could be in the Division 1 comp, but he did play over the weekend his 300th game for Surf Coast. A tremendous achievement. Well done there for Michael Pocklington. Indeed, a job well done. And then before we go on to the women's, Adam Leather scored both those goals for Barwon in their win, their 2-0 win over Bell Park on the Friday night. And then on Sunday, Jay Christou and Ben Ryder scored the 2 goals for Surf Coast. Breakwater Eagles, you didn't submit your goal scorer, your lone goal scorer. So they may have as we speak, but up until mid-afternoon when we're preparing the show, they hadn't as yet. So we don't know who scored the goal for Breakwater Eagles. If anyone knows, can they let us know? But there's the ladder, Men's Division 1 ladder. Surf Coast on top, 4 points from 2 games. Then we've got Barwon on 3, Elko Park Cardinals on 3, having only played 1 game each. Leopold 1 point from 1 game. Breakwater Eagles in 5th spot. Not a bad effort, 1 draw and 1 loss. They are the newly promoted team, and Bell Park at the moment 1 draw and 1 loss from their 2 games, and Armstrong United bringing up the rear. Games happening this weekend, Steve, in Men's Division 1.
Yeah, so the Men's Division 1, so we're up to round 3. We've got Armstrong United and FC Leopold, 3 o'clock on Sunday at Armstrong Creek Sporting Ovals. And then we've got Surf Coast and Elko Park Cardinals at the same time on Sunday at Banyul Warri, while Grovedale Reserve will host Barwon versus Breakwater Eagles at the later time of 5 o'clock on Sunday at Grovedale Reserve, and Bell Park will have the bye. So we'll move on to the Women's Division 1 now. We look to wrap up the scores from the weekend.
Yeah, nearly there. Stay with us, folks.
We've got Barwon and Deakin Ducks and Drysdale and Geelong. So we've got 0-0 in both of those fixtures. But Geelong Rangers 2, Surf Coast 3 at Myers Reserve on Saturday afternoon. So a win there for Surf Coast on the road. We'll have a look at the ladder. And Surf Coast there, 2 wins from 2. They are the league leaders, clear on top of Barwon and Geelong, both on 4 points.
Yeah, looking ahead to this weekend, Deakin Ducks hosting Geelong Rangers. That's at Deakin Warren Ponds campus at 1 p.m. And then Barwon at home to Drysdale. That's at Grovedale Reserve at 1 p.m. And then Geelong taking on Surf Coast. That should be a good one at Stead Park at 1 p.m. So lots of football happening this weekend. Coming up, we've had one weekend just finish, and now we've got another weekend coming up. So much stuff happening, which is always great. We're excited about the fact that the grassroots, the local community season is well and truly underway, and there was a multitude of junior games played around the weekend. So as well. Well, we're going to take a breather because there was so much to get through. It's almost 37 minutes into past the hour, and we've just finished the results. So, folks, thank you for being very, very patient. Stay with us. When we return, we're going to have the president of SURFSIDE Waves, Mike Sutton. He's going to be joining us, and he'll be bringing us up to date with all the latest that's going on down at Shell Road Reserve in Ocean Grove. Stay with us, folks. It's the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Good evening and welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's an absolute pleasure now to have the president of the SURFSIDE Waves joining us, Mike Sutton. Mike, how are you? And you didn't fall asleep in the green room. We getting through all those results, were you? Oh, no, we're having gremlins again. We're audio. Oh, no, this is why we tell all of our guests to come on early and log on. We are having issues. Mike, can you hear us? There's probably something with your audio.
Oh, Mike can definitely hear us. It's just a matter of us not being able to hear him, which is a pain. So we'll see.
We'll see if he can log off and log on. And there's definitely something with regards to his microphone. So
that's right. I can see that Mike's sitting there with some great things to say and not getting the chance to say them. So hopefully that will change very, very shortly, and we'll get the president of SURFSIDE back on there because he's got a lot of good things to say. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Now, hopefully we've got Craig Wright joining us. He's the technical director. Craig, are you there?
I am. Can you?
We can hear.
Hello, Craig. You there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We just can't see him. Oh, there's no vision there.
No camera wanting to work. My camera's on. Everything's working fine.
Oh, as long as we can hear you, I'm sure that's all good.
Well, hopefully while we get Mike in the background, he's going to sort out his audio. But Craig, we're going to have to just go by audio at the moment. Look, mate, you're the technical director there. How are things progressing at the club, and what's the latest going on there going forward with regards to the club?
Yeah, look, the club's progressing really well. We had a big weekend last weekend and this weekend with our junior setup, and somehow this year we've ended up one of the bigger clubs in the region. I think we entered the most mini-roos team of any club into the Geelong competition, which is fantastic news for us. So as you know, we're a very big junior club and I guess a feeder club for a lot of the NPL clubs and the state league in the higher echelons of the state league club, feeding them and developing our juniors is a big part of that.
On the screen, we can see some of the results from the weekend just gone by, and some amazing results, some big wins there. Particularly the under 12s, the boys under 12s, really good results there. Some very good results there as well. Boys under 14, boys under 13, the girls under 12 and under 13, and the boys under 16. They had some, not big losses, that's for sure. But overall, the development of the younger players seems to be heading in the right direction. How are you going with coaches? Has that been something that I know a lot of clubs found it very difficult to accommodate the big explosion in interest, if you like, during the off season, trying to get coaches, and a lot of the clubs actually had to cap their teams. What was the situation with regards to that with Surfside Waves?
Yeah, same. We had reached a cap with players and a number of teams in a lot of the age groups, especially in those mini roos age groups. And as you can see, the development in those under 12 and 13, 14 boys is really paying off, that we've been working towards over the last few years. Many of our coaches aren't from football backgrounds. They're from basketball and team sport environments, and even AFL coaching, and getting them involved and helping them along the way through some of our more senior players and senior coaches at the club has really been paying off for us, especially in those the 2 under 12 teams that we have there. It's really paying off with a bit of healthy competition between the two coaches and the two teams, and who's the A team, who's the B team. And it's fantastic to see that those boys' age groups are really developing. And similarly with the girls, it's the probably the biggest number of girls teams we've had over the past few years, from under 9s, 11s, 12s, 13s. And we've got a senior women's team this year for the first time as well. It's entered into Division 2, the first time since 2018, 2019. So it's fantastic to see the development and quite a few young players in that women's team as well coming through.
Now, Craig, an important role these days, the technical director at any club. How are you enjoying the role yourself this year, and what are your objectives for the year ahead for you in the role?
Yeah, it's a stressful role. It's a challenging role in the lead up to the start of the year, managing. I call myself a parent liaison most of the time. Which is what the role does entail, and sorting out the teams in terms of the equipment, the strips, and basically getting them onto the park and making sure registrations are completed, with the help of obviously the registrar, treasurer, and all the fantastic volunteers that we have at the club. So it's a challenging role. Enjoying the role does take me away from my family and my paid role that I do on a full-time basis as well. And it's just a bit of time management at the moment for me, and the more volunteers, the better.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I hear from a lot of people, a lot of technical directors, a lot of directors of coaching. They have to spend a lot of time liaising with parents and explaining the club's philosophy and what you're not. I guess another coach down there who feels like a bit of a parent these days is the coach of the senior men's team. He's got a lot of young players there in the ranks, Pablo Mujica, and it's our pleasure to bring Pablo on actually now to the show. Pablo, how are you? Welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's great to have you on board. I mean, how many years is this that you've been coaching the senior men's team? It's a tough one this year because some big losses, but at the same time, you're telling me off air a lot of young players coming up through the ranks.
Yeah, I lost count how many years, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, look, the team that we had that won the Geelong region back to back, 2018-19, we took them into the state league last year, and then this year, post COVID, it's been it's been difficult to get commitments from players, and with family commitments with children, etc. And some players moved on, and we wish them well, but it left the club in a position where we didn't have a lot of players at the start of the season, pre-season. We rumbled up a lot of youngsters, which was great, which meant that we could compete in the State 5. And look, we've thrown them in the deep end, really. So that's what our club wants to be about, is providing that avenue for youngsters to be able to play football, to develop themselves. And if they're good enough, great, they can move on and go up through the leagues.
Now, Pablo, sorry, Tonci, I'll just jump in with a question there. As you said, it has been a challenging season with loss of players and trying to get a competitive team out on the park and doing so. But how much those challenges, how good did it make it when you got the win a couple of weeks ago against Maribyrnong Greens? How was that day in your memories, that 2-1 win?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was coming, like we said at the start of the season. I said, look, round 6, round 7, we should.
He's back.
Oh, he's back. He's about to sack me after round 6. So
there's Craig.
Yeah, start of the year, I said to Pablo, if you're getting humped and beaten 6 and 7 nils by round 6, we have an issue. And sure enough, round 6, he pulls out a win. So he's safe for a bit longer.
It sounds like you guys have got a good working relationship there by the sound of this conversation.
No, it's good. Yeah, we've got some good youngsters there at the club, and give them the opportunity. There's one of them that's 15 years of age, playing at state 5 level, and in the deep end, but he's more than capable. But for me as a coach, I think that's where it's at for us as a club, is to want to attract young players that want to have that opportunity to play, which they may not get necessarily at other clubs that are pushing for promotion. And it's so we're more than capable to compete on our day. Like Saturday, we lost 7-0 to Maidstone. However, if we had scored the 2 good chances that we had, it's a different game. That's the way it's been recently, and we just look to improve week in, week out on the things that we're working on. And again, it's difficult because players have to travel to Melbourne. Some aren't committed to that, and that's understandable because of work commitments, etc. But just keep pushing ahead and keep developing them, and hopefully get a few more results.
Yeah, if we do take a look at that ladder again, the State League ladder there, down the bottom, 3 goals for, 27 goals against. I mean, on face value, it looks pretty bad, looks almost disastrous. But the reality is, as you said, you've got a lot of young players, including a 15-year-old. What's his name, by the way? Give him a plug. Give the kid a go. What's his name?
Sorry, I'm
the 15-year-old. What's his name?
Lucas Kelly.
Well done. Well done, Lucas, if you're watching. But that's the opportunity that a lot of these players, as you said, don't get that opportunity at other clubs, and probably this is a gilt-edged opportunity. So a bit of short-term pain, but long-term gain. Now, how are the kids themselves? Look, as we said, there's been some big losses: 0-6, 0-5, 0-7 on the weekend. How are the young players reacting to these kind of results? Are they getting themselves a little bit down in the dumps, and is it your job to really try and promote them, or can they actually see that this is a real good opportunity for them that's going to keep them in good stead in the long term?
Yeah, from that's been one of the things that have been really proud of the players, is that they haven't thrown in the towel at all.
Yep.
None of them, they continue to compete, regardless of the scoreline. They're just continuing to try and compete and to the final whistle, which is what you want as a coach. We haven't had defeats like that in the past, and it's as a coach, you're sort of proud as to what you want to try and achieve in games, but at the same time, you've got to be patient and explain that to players as well, that the results will come. You just got to keep battling away and continue doing the right things at training and try and execute what we're trying to coach them to the best of their abilities. And there's going to be times when we will get thumped, and that's acceptable. I understand that. The club understands that. It's just all about developing this year and then going stronger again next year.
And Pablo, with that squad changeover, I suppose, have you got any experienced heads in there that get out on the park and do a bit of on-field coaching for you, or is it a lot of it led up to the young players to have an opportunity to be leaders?
No, I have. Unfortunately, they've got injured, but that's the way it goes. And I don't think it's been the same team week in, week out. So that causes issues with team balance and stuff like that. But all the guys get around each other. It's a really good atmosphere to be in. They get around the youngsters. They try and educate them as to what they should and shouldn't be doing. There's a lot of positives behind the scene that really the results aren't indicative of. And the game we won against Maribyrnong, it was a great environment to be amongst. Post-game, we were all celebrating and carrying on, and it was great. We thought, okay, great, here we go. We're gonna win next week, or take the positives there. But unfortunately, like I said, we should have been 2-0 up and weren't, and games are totally different, 7-0. So the way it goes.
Craig, a question for you, I guess. SURFSIDE Waves, based in Ocean Grove, and just in State League 5, as far as the men's competition is concerned, there are at least 2 other clubs, Deakin University and Barwon, just in that close proximity. With the women, same sort of thing. Now there's Surf Coast is down the road, Drysdale and whatnot. Is it hard to attract quality players to the club? And as a result, do you sort of have to rely on developing your own players. And how do you find that down in Ocean Grove? I mean, there's often this belief that clubs down on the Surf Coast and the Bellarine Peninsula struggle to get players because, there's so much on offer in the summer. There's surf lifesaving, there's cricket. During the winter, there's basketball, AFL, netball, what you're not, or just the lifestyle itself. How do you find it, like as a technical director, you sort of pulling your hair out, or you find that, there are some positives?
Yeah, definitely. We're always competing we are in probably the heartland of AFL down here, and we obviously have shared facilities with cricket, and competing with surf lifesaving and the summer sports, as you said, is a big issue. We are losing some of our better players to other sports and other interests, and that does happen. You touched on attracting players, and that has been difficult, being that little bit further away from Geelong and the Melbourne region, attracting players to come down and play in Ocean Grove. So we have changed our attention to developing and trying to keep hold of some of our better junior players. And if you look at Surfside's history with developing players, we've probably got 15 to 20 players that are out in the NPL setups now with the 14s, 15s, 16s at Geelong and North Geelong that we've had and let go and encouraged to go into that environment to challenge themselves. And the hope is in 5 years' time that pays off, that these kids that have been and grown up and lived in Ocean Grove, that have been around the club, that see what the club's about, come back in a couple of years' time and want to play in that state league competition. So it is about development, and as you can see, that development is paying off. Is starting to pay off.
Yeah, Steve. Well, we mentioned earlier in the show, Anthony Piratina, who had a spell at Geelong Soccer Club, has come back to Bell Park in State 4 and has scored 3 goals in 3 games. Christian Mann, another fella that was at Geelong, he's come to Barwon in State 5 and scored a hat-trick on the weekend. So there are quite a fair few players that are starting to...
There can be some boomerangs there, can't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Craig, I wanted to talk to you a bit about the state of or the ambitions for the women's side of the game at Surfside. I interestingly saw the women's Div 2 side there. They're looking forward to playing their first game on Friday night for the year, and it got washed out. How excited are they when they finally get to go out for their first game, and how are they shaping up and in line with the club's focus on women's football?
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. It's fantastic to have them back, and we haven't had them for a number of years. And Paul Mills coaching down there, and Gina Murphy, who has got the team off the ground this year and going. It's fantastic to have them back, and we really are looking forward to supporting them in any way we can, and keeping them on the pitch long term. In terms of ambition, if we play, the club's motto is to enjoy football and keep playing as long as possible. And if that means that they go out and they win the league and get promoted up into the Division 1 next year, fantastic. If they are struggling and enjoying it, that's equally as important for us just to have them involved with the club.
Absolutely. Brilliant philosophy to have. Gents, thank you so much for joining us. We've got the president, Mike Sutton. Hopefully he's fixed his audio issues and we'll be able to have him on board. I really want to find out more about that Green Rooms Future program that the club is aligned with, and we'll find out from him shortly. But in the meantime, Pablo, all the very, very best to you and to all the boys down at SURFSIDE Waves. Wishing you all the best, and to Craig yourself as well. And hopefully you have lots of fun and enjoyment and fulfillment in that parent liaison role that you spoke about earlier tonight.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Good on you,
Craig. Thanks, Pablo.
To very, very charming gentlemen from the Surfside Waves. Absolute pleasure having those guys on. We're going to take a very, very quick break, and when we do return, folks, we're going to be speaking to Mike Sutton, the president of the Surfside Waves Soccer Club. Hopefully he's been able to rectify his audio issues. Folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We've got our president from the SURFSIDE Waves, Mike Sutton. Hopefully he's fixed his audio. Can we hear you, Mike?
I don't know, boys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Winner, chicken dinner. Oh, fantastic. Good to hear your voice, Mike. Thank you for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Now, before we get started, mate, tell us about that Green Room's Future program. How is that aligned with the club? Geez, that sounds very interesting and a great opportunity for talented young footballers in Geelong.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting. It's just a quick one. I had a contact from Matt, the great Texan. He's now forever Don Jude Tonci, so we're going to go with that one.
Tonci, oh my goodness, mate.
And just really introducing himself, and he's been in this business of getting kids to the States in university programs or college programs for over 10 years, and was a college coach himself, played a season in the MSL over there with one of the, I can't remember which team. Anyway, just living in Ocean Grove recently and really wanting to connect with local clubs and particularly soccer clubs. So he's come on board as a major sponsor. Obviously, we're in the middle of coming towards the end of a naming rights kind of sponsorship with McDonald's, the local Macca's in Ocean Grove. Big shout out to them for the last 3 years of support. And just really wanted to get involved. So we're just, looking for opportunities for his business to be on the front foot with our community. And this was a great opportunity for him to get involved in sponsoring this show with you guys tonight. But their program is really unique in that they take kids from really any kind of ability and any kind of, academic or sporting ability into college programs in the States. And it gives, I think the numbers work out cheaper than sort of going through, local universities and living on site in Australia as an overall package, from what I understand, and you get that great exposure to international networks and international travel and making sort of friends and for life in different parts of the world. So we really encourage anyone in our region and anywhere that wants to get involved with Green Room Futures to get in touch with Matt.
There you
Absolutely,
go. That's awesome. That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Those opportunities just sound amazing that the youngsters have these days, and certainly something to look at taking up. Now, speaking of exciting opportunities, Micah, yourself as the president there at SURFSIDE Waves, how long have you been in the gig for now? Must be a few years now. And how are you enjoying it this year after what's been a couple of changing years, I suppose, the last couple of years?
Yeah, Steve, it's this is my fourth year. It's been great. There's been some challenging times. Obviously, every person that's lived in the world in the last couple of years has been extremely challenging times. And no more so than people running community sports clubs, because let's face it, it's kind of the heartbeat of local community, and we love seeing our little for under 7, 6-year-old, 5-year-old kids all the way to the grumpy old over 35s out in the park playing sport and whatever that sport is. So it's been hard dealing with that, and we're blessed in a local community that's pretty close, and we've gotten through it and bounced back pretty quickly. We coming off the back of the first big COVID year, we had our first ever sort of spring tournaments and competitions and training sessions we put on, and actually ran the basically sort of from September all the way through to the next season, and the turnout we had for that was unbelievable. So it's been challenging, but it's been rewarding at the same time.
Mike, a few years ago, I guess it could have been argued that a lot of the clubs, and this is something we spoke with Craig just prior, it could have been argued that a lot of the clubs based down on the coast, down either the Surf Coast or Bellarine Peninsula, as soon as the soccer season finished, they basically shut down because most of their members went off to play cricket or be involved with surf lifesaving, or just the whole, I guess, the lifestyle was like that. But these days, more and more increasingly, the soccer clubs are becoming all year round operations. Now, we've seen in the off season, I had the pleasure of one of the games, one of the weekends, hopping down to Shell Road Reserve when it was the Masters Summer Tournament. And I think you guys hosted it on several occasions down there. But that particular day was a beautiful autumn day in March, and there was just people everywhere. Young, old. There was certainly no grumpy old 35s. I think they were just very excited to be back in action. But how is that exciting for the club, or is it you finding that that's a little bit of an added burden because now you're actually having to operate not just 6 months of the year, but operate 9, 10, 12 months of the year?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's obviously more work, but it's something that we're passionate about, and it's something that you have to kind of do to the demands there. You've got to take it while it's there, and it's just something that it's not even really a decision. It's just it's on. Let's do it the bbest we can, and create the best atmosphere and have the most fun and be as inclusive as we've always been. So. It's not something we're actively aware of. Oh, listen, we need to compete, so we've got to try and find year-round programs, and it's just kind of developed over the last couple of years, which has been really fun and actually quite exciting. So
awesome.
Yeah, Mike, how is the facility down at Shell Road holding up to the booming junior program that you've got going down there, and just the overall upturn in the club as an interest piece within Ocean Grove?
Yeah, look, it's a pretty new facility. It's as Craig mentioned, we do share it with both AFL and cricket in the summer. We've obviously got 2 dedicated pitches, but it is something that there are. Now, as Craig mentioned, we're one of the biggest mini-roos / juniors programs on the Bellarine, and it is becoming, quite stressed at the seams in terms of storage and space and training facilities and stuff. So, yeah, look, it's a great facility, and we're really lucky to be in such a good place, and people often come from all over and say, oh wow, this is an amazing place. But you're right, it is sort of bursting at the seams a little bit, and that's something we sort of need to address moving forward.
Is there anything in the pipeline for facility wise that might be changing, either the off-field facilities or even potential more fields or more training facilities in the future?
Yeah, look, there is one big project that's kind of before council and before town planning and master planning and things like that. Ocean Grove is one of the fastest growing postcodes in Australia, and
absolutely,
there's new estates sort of just going gangbusters, and there's a couple of facilities in one of the new estates and one that the Geelong City of Greater Geelong are looking at as a soccer precinct, and there'll be a lot of moving pieces of the pie to kind of make it all work, and that's something sort of on the cards for sort of next 3 to 5 years, I believe. A lot of sort of groundwork to be done from building bases for pitches and stuff like that. But yeah, that potentially is something very exciting. But been around long enough to sort of wait and sort of not get too excited until these things sort of take place. So absolutely.
In your opinion, as we said, Ocean Grove, that entire area is growing. There are a few venues, I suppose, Memorial Park, Hollandina Oval as well, in that kind of close proximity. In your opinion, though, with the place growing so much, is SURFSIDE Waves the club that can grow to be 6, 7, potentially 800 members and be a super club, or would you like to see maybe a satellite club formed or a sister club or a rival club in that Ocean Grove area? What are your thoughts on that, like looking at it 5-10 years down the track and sort of having that longer term view of things?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've got a bit of a strategic plan that we're working on, and there's certainly that selfishly that we are the Ocean Grove soccer team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we don't really sort of see that being any need to sort of split that up or sort of allow rivals, God forbid, to come in and stomp on our. But I mean, whatever's best for football, right, and whatever's best for the community, we believe we're best placed to serve that community. And if we're not, then so be it. We'll happily work with anyone. But we believe that, like you say, a super club or 800, 900 members, etc., would kind of be doubling what we are now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, if you look at the facility, you look at this kind of new proposal that's potentially in the pipeline with up at the new estate, then that's something that could happen. And that kind of is in line with a 3 to 5 year sort of program that the council have in place. I mean, they always talk quicker, but we know these things take a longer than what council sort of.
I suppose it is an election. It is an election year, so if the pollies are going to promise anything big, it's this year that they're going to promise. So, if any of the political candidates listening, well, now's your chance to jump on board the Surfside juggernaut, because that really is what it is. It's just growing massively, and it will continue to grow if the facilities and the capacity is there. Good to. It's really exciting. That's really exciting to hear, Mike. What's your overall assessment of soccer in Geelong? At all levels, from a participating level to the elite level to just the numbers of people involved with the game and the money and resources at the. How do you see the state of Geelong soccer in general?
Yeah, look, I mean, I suppose it's a bit of. I'm not going to say there's haves and have-nots, but there is a little bit of a divide, I think, between kind of some of the bigger clubs and even us and some of the smaller clubs coming up. I think that the overall participation seems to be really, really strong, and we only see that in our own environment. And we see that with the number of teams in competitions, and the competition sort of growing. Of course, we're coming off the back of COVID, two really bad COVID years, so there's a bit of a false step there. But before that, I'd say that there was definitely, it was on a really good, strong upward trend. I think we're lacking in a lot of resources in terms of, referees and all of the normal kind of things that leagues struggle with.
Yeah.
Certainly from what I hear, there's some clubs with, great financial support from big sponsorship bases, and, good on them. And they've spent a long time fine-tuning those relationships and building that up, and that makes a big difference to teams sort of, getting bigger and stronger and better and rising up through leagues. We're not at that point yet, and we're still bordering really between a really sort of community club and dipping our toe into the water of a bit of a, moving towards not elite, but, moving up the ranks in terms of the men's state league. And that's why that's so important to us to give that pathway to young kids. But I think in general, like the Geelong Soccer League, the Geelong Soccer sort of participation and everything is it's got a lot to offer. I think this year is a bit kind of suck and see because of a lot of things changing from last year.
I'm hearing that from a lot of clubs. Yeah.
Mike, probably following on from Tonci's question before last about maybe another club in the region, made me think of your neighbours Barwon Heads. Is there any working relationship? Have either of the clubs reached out to each other? Obviously, you're the bigger brother of the two, but has there been any efforts to try and join forces in any way and outsmart the opposition?
I don't know about outsmart. We've got a good working relationship with pretty much all the local clubs, particularly Barwon Heads, and we often talk about if there's juniors that want to swap over and teams that need filling and things like that. Obviously, we don't like to lose players; they don't like to lose players. But if families move or kids have got mates of groups of friends that are playing at certain teams, then we're more than happy to accommodate that. We often talk about on chat groups if for example, someone's line marking machine's not working, you can borrow someone else's, and just the basic things that make sort of clubs hum, happens. And the same can be said for Drysdale and Leopold, and there's a really good. I've found anyway since I've been here that it's been a really easy to sort of reach out and talk to other clubs and get some good things going.
Mate, absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Mike, and it's even more pleasurable now that we've managed to rectify the audio problems. We wish you all the very, very best in season 2022. And as you said, it's one of wait and see type of years. But everyone seems to be doing and getting themselves back on the road to recovery. And let's hope that things after the elections do end up stable, and that we can not only have a full year, but next year we can really, really take off, because it's going to be a big year next year. The World Cup, Women's World Cup year. So hopefully that's going to have major, major positive ramifications for the game here, and certainly down Ocean Grove way. Mate, all the very best for the year ahead.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Really appreciate the opportunity, and just like to say thanks to Craig and Pablo for their input as well on the show. So,
and we talk about commitment before you go. Pablo travels all the way from Sunbury to Ocean Grove. How many? Twice, 3 times a week to coach the men's senior team, and he's been doing that for so many years. That is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's and really that's really sort of speaks about our club and what we're all about. So,
yeah, well, if there wasn't such a positive vibe, positive mood down at that club, he would have probably no doubt found something a lot closer to home. So kudos to yourself and everyone involved down at Surfside Waves for creating that type of environment. Good on you.
No, that really appreciate the kind words, and thanks for the opportunity to come on tonight.
Good on you.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. All the best, mate. Mike
Sutton, the president of Surfside Waves. Mate, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you to everyone who has been with us. We just seem to have gone on over time. We're going to have to do something about, as we mentioned, we briefly spoke over the off-air, with the results. We're going to have to streamline it. It does take up a lot of a chunk of the thing.
Absolutely. And we're happy to hear your feedback too, as our audience. If you've got any ideas or suggestions for what you would like to see or how you would like to see things presented, please get in touch, and we're happy to hear your suggestions of what you want to see.
Before we do go, we just the Craig Wright just writes in the comments section, Leopold girls and Surfside joined forces in the under 15. So that is a good example of that collaboration, and particularly with the girls in particular. They maybe don't have that diehard allegiance of only sticking with the one club. They're happy to play anywhere as long as they play. And it does happen with the boys as well from time to time. So that is a great example of that, clubs collaborating and working together for the betterment of the game. Now, speaking of the betterment of the game, mate, we can't go forwards if we don't have the referees and if we don't have referee development.
Absolutely.
Next week, we've got a very, very special episode, and we're going to have someone on from the local referees department, and we'll be able to hear all the trials and tribulations of the referees in this post-COVID season. And I tell you what, that is going to be an episode you do not want to miss. And we might even hear some really feel-good stories from some of the successful young referees that are coming up through the ranks. But when you do go out to the local competitions, folks, you see them. They're usually wearing a green shirt because they're first-year referees. But, Steve, that should be quite exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
That's good. And for those young referees as well, it's a really good pathway to go all the way up to you can put a few good years in and find yourself up in the NPL level. And then who knows, you could be, representing. We've got, referees from Australia overseas now and representing us in the A-League and in Asia. So it's a really good pathway. And I was commentating at South Melbourne on the weekend, and well-renowned referee Adam Babkar was there refereeing that match, and great fellow, and he had a bit of banter with us in the referees room beforehand as well. And there's some really good referees out there, and we hope that there's many more to come.
Folks, that's about it from us on tonight's show. Thank you for being a part of it. But before we do go, there on the screen, you can become a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Show your support. We need you. We want you. And to sign up as a member, go to www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. For as little as $15 a month and as much as $25 a month, you can become a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And what that, amongst other things, what that entails you to is every weekday you will get exclusively the Geelong Daily Football News Bulletin sent to your inbox. So once again, big shout out to our sponsors for tonight, Surfside Waves Soccer Club and Green Rooms Futures, who were also our sponsors. Folks, good night. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Steve, good night, and have a great week for you.
You too. And thanks everyone who tuned in tonight, and look forward to your company next Monday night.
Good night, folks. All the very best.
Good night.